Hey everyone, what's going on? I hope you're all doing great and fired up for some football manager talk, because there's a fresh title update out that actually fixes a lot of the niggles people have been running into. If you were one of those people who've had saves corrupting, unexpected crashes, odd lineup displays, or quirks with transfers in the editor, then this is the sort of patch that can breathe new life into your long-term saves. I'm going to walk you through what changed, why it matters, and what you should do with your game files and third-party tools, but I'll keep it friendly and real, like I'm explaining this over coffee to a mate who's got an impossible league save they don't want to lose. So, first up, there's a title update that landed on November 13th, 2025, and it's a classic hotfix package, the kind of one you install and then quietly hope your save doesn't explode. This update focuses heavily on stability. Think crash fixes, match stability, and editor-related issues. If your game has been crashing on certain systems, particularly macOS, or you've had weird crashes when loading mods or using the in-game editor, you should see improvements. Stability fixes are boring, but they're the most satisfying when they actually stop your carefully cultivated dynasty from being ruined by a single unexpected exit. For the people who spend hundreds of hours building their clubs, this is the stuff that matters more than flashy new features. Beyond the crash fixes, the update brings a fair amount of UI polish. That covers translations, text alignment, and messaging behavior, little things that add up. If you've ever been frustrated by mismatched text boxes, buttons that don't respond the way you'd expect, or messages that don't let you quickly scroll through with keyboard shortcuts, this patch improves those rough edges. There's also a small but very welcome tweak to how certain navigation controls behave, which makes the experience feel smoother. UI changes don't usually dominate headlines, but in day-to-day management, they make navigating your inbox, scouting reports, and training screens feel less like a chore and more like flow. Match-related fixes are another pillar of this update. There were several bugs affecting pre-match lineup displays and mid-match mentality switches, which could cause confusion or leave you second-guessing what actually happened on the pitch. The update clarifies and corrects many of those problems, so what you see in the pre-match screen and during the match more accurately reflects the team reports and tactical adjustments you make. That's not just cosmetic. When the UI and the engine are singing the same tune, you can make real tactical choices with confidence, rather than gambling that what you set up is actually what the players will do. Transfers and roster management got attention too. A few frustrating behaviors like the transfer history filter not working properly and the change withdraw offer button being unresponsive in certain contexts have been fixed. For anyone who likes to micromanage offers, loans, and the occasional dramatic last-minute bid, having those controls behave predictably is essential. It sounds small, but it saves time and reduces the frustration of having to reload or re-enter information because the UI didn't register a click. Now, a little bit about third-party tools and editors. If you use external editors or save editors, this is the kind of patch that can break or require tool updates. Tool authors typically need to adjust to the new game data structures after a title update, so the safe play is to back up your saves before launching the patched game and to wait for explicit updates from tool developers before using editors again. Some tool creators get their updates out very fast, while others take a bit longer. If you rely on FMRTE or similar tools for scouting, player database tweaks, or in-depth analytics, wait for confirmation that they fully support the new update. There's a lot of community wisdom around this. Backups are cheap, and redoing a bunch of manual edits because an editor miswrote a save is not. If you're on console, a couple of platform notes. The patch went live for PC storefronts first, with console rollouts following depending on certification times. That means if you play on PlayStation or Xbox, you might see a short delay while the console stores approve and distribute the update. Nothing sinister, just the usual store certification pipeline. Check your console's updates section and the game's store page if it hasn't appeared yet. For PC players, both Steam and Epic distributions have the update, and some players saw it hit beta branches first. If you're adventurous and comfortable with betas, opting into a public beta can get you the fixes earlier, but be mindful of save compatibility. Switching branches can sometimes make saves incompatible or produce unexpected behavior. On the subject of betas and saves, always make a copy of your save folder before switching branches. It's a 2-second job and it prevents a world of hurt. If you switch to a beta and something goes sideways, you can roll back to your backup. Don't skip this because you're in a hurry to test one fix. The effort spent on a backup is tiny compared to hours of redoing tactical setups or rebuilding a squad. There's also some important housekeeping for mod users. Mods that change UI elements, player graphics, or data structures may need updates after a title update. After installing the patch, check your most critical mods for compatibility notes and updates. Community mod pages and discords will usually highlight whether a mod is safe to use with the new version. If a mod hasn't been updated, it's often better to disable it until the author confirms compatibility. Running outdated mods alongside a changed base game is a common cause of bugs and instability. For long-term managers and those with heavy save files, the match stability improvements are the big win. If you've ever had a match crash on the 85th minute of a crucial cup final, you know how soul-destroying that is. The patch includes match engine-related fixes that address edge case crashes and weirdness in certain tactical interactions. That doesn't mean miracles everywhere, but the risk of an abrupt match-ending crash should be noticeably lower for many players. Another practical improvement is in the translation and alignment fixes. If you play the game in a language other than English, you'll likely appreciate these corrections. Misplaced strings, overlapping text, and truncated labels make navigation harder and often hide important information. Correcting those translation and alignment issues has a real quality of life effect, especially for players who run deeply into the menus during scouting, press conferences, and staff reports. I also want to talk about the subtler gameplay fixes. There were several corrections to how mentality adjustments mid-match behaved, and how certain tactical instructions persisted or failed under specific conditions. These are the sort of fixes that will mostly benefit tactical perfectionists, people who obsess over pressing triggers, counterattacks, and subtle role instructions. When the game models your instructions more faithfully, it rewards a more thoughtful, tactical approach. Expect fewer moments where you swear your striker is ignoring the whole point of playing as an advanced forward. If you're running a local league with lots of custom databases, the editor-related crash fixes are worth attention. Some of the crash reports were tied to the in-game editor or external database manipulation. Those have been addressed to reduce instability, but remember the earlier caveat about external tools needing updates. Even with editor fixes applied in the main game, third-party tools might still need to change the way they read or write certain fields. Now for practical recommendations on what you should do after installing the update. First, back up your saves. I cannot stress that enough. Export a copy to a safe folder, and if you use cloud saves, also have an offline backup. Second, if you use third-party editors or mods, check compatibility and wait for tool updates if needed. Third, if you're on a console and don't see the patch yet, check the store and be patient for certification. Don't start uninstalling or reinstalling right away unless you've exhausted simpler checks. Fourth, if a specific crash was plaguing your system and the patch notes mention a fix in that area, try running a quick test save or a short match to verify, just so you have a baseline before resuming a long-term career. Community reaction so far has been generally positive. This kind of update doesn't come with headline-grabbing features, but for anyone who values a stable, reliable game, it's very welcome. Forums and community hubs are full of players grateful that long-standing annoyances are being fixed. There's also the familiar chorus of people asking for more feature updates, but remember that stability patches lay the groundwork for smoother feature additions later. If you're making content around this update, a good approach is to highlight the fixes that matter most to your audience. For example, if your viewers are mainly console players, mention the rollout and certification caveats. If they're modders, explain the need to wait for editor updates. If your channel focuses on tactics, delve into the match and mentality fixes, and demonstrate before and after scenarios showing how adjustments are now applied more reliably. People love seeing tangible differences, so doing a side-by-side comparison of a previously buggy scenario and the fixed outcome can be satisfying and informative. A couple of technical notes that are worth repeating for anyone managing a large save archive. Disable autosave before you test the first run after a patch, if you're worried about compatibility. Autosave is fantastic for convenience, but in the immediate aftermath of a major change, you might prefer to control when a save is written until you're confident everything's stable.